Hello, welcome to part 2 of MDT 2012. And part 1, if you saw part 1, I basically installed the 2012 stuff into a Windows 7 box. The bare bone, I didn't do anything else. I just configured it, installed it, and just went through of a couple of the features. In part 2, I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to import the operating system, Windows 7 operating system. I'm going to import a NIC driver, Dell Precision of M6500, as well as I'm going to import an application, Adobe Reader 10. Okay, and hopefully if everything goes well, I'm going to have the MDT connect to our SQL Server Express 2008. Show you it's 2008. Okay, so let's get started. I actually pre-configured everything already, but I'm going to go step by step and do it again for you guys and show you how everything works. 2012 so far, I've noticed that it's just like 2010, doing the same things as importing applications, operating systems, doing task sequences, as well as importing drivers. So the first thing I like to do is I normally create a folder inside the operating system node, and if it's Windows 7 or Windows 8, and inside that folder I like to create two other folders, subfolders, like an x64 or an x86, but for this example I just put everything in one folder. Very simple. You right click, import a new operating system, full set of source files. That's what I picked. Pick the source directory. I made a copy of the DVD of Windows 7 and I placed it on the D drive. Created the folder Windows 7. Clicks next, next. Give it a name. Give the directory a name. Let's call it test. And you hit next. Once you hit next, it's going to take a while. It normally takes, again, if you copied all the source stuff on locally to your machine, it normally takes about 2 to 3 minutes. If you're running it off the DVD, it should take about 5 to 8 minutes. Again, don't quote me on that time, but from my experience, that's how long I've experienced the time on importing stuff from the DVD as well locally. So once that's done, you will get all your WIN files here. Again, if it was more of a production deployment share, underneath or inside the Windows 7, I have two folders, 8064, and I can divide all that stuff, make it a little cleaner. The second thing I like to do is I like to import an application, and the application that I imported was Adobe Reader. Again, I like to create a folder inside the application node of what I'm being deployed. If it's a particular vendor like Adobe, and you have like Adobe Reader, Acrobat Professional, InDesign, Illustrator, etc., I would create like a Adobe folder, and inside the Adobe folder I add all the other applications that deals with Adobe. For this example, I added Adobe Reader X. Very simple. You right click, new application, application with source file. You got application without the source files or elsewhere in the network. If your company has a specific share with OR's applications and you guys like to script stuff or use bat files, this is the way to go. For me, I like to do the application with the source file because it copies everything and just drops it to the deployment share. The bad side about it is that the deployment share gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that means you have to have a huge size of a partition where your deployment share lives. Hit next. Give the publisher a name, application name, version, and language. The first one and the last two are optional. So let's give the name as test. Hit next. You want the source file or wherever the files are located. You hit next. If you want the directory to be called that, hit next. If you have a command, okay. There's a cool site called appdeploy.com that basically gives you a rundown of what commands to run. I actually went there for Adobe Reader X. Once I'm done with this right here, I'll show you the command for Adobe Reader X. You hit next, it gives you a summary. You hit next again, in progress. It takes about a minute or so, and it's real quick. Instantly confirms it, and that's it. Once that's done, you get something like this. Double click on it to go to the properties. A rundown of the information. The GUID. This is pretty cool if you want to make everything automated. That's when you have to deal with the custom setting INI file. That's a later on video. If you don't want the application to be shown on the deployment wizard, you check this. Details. So, like I said, app deploy, one word, appdeploy.com. Actually has a great site with the latest software that gives you commands to run software silently, quiet, hidden, and all that good stuff. So they actually have Adobe Reader, and this is the command for it. This part right here, if the application is only for certain clients or certain platforms, you could basically set that stuff here. For Adobe Reader, I'm just going to run it for any platform. Okay. Next thing I like to do is I like to go to the out-of-box driver. So the machine that I'm running all this right now is a Dell Precision M6500. I like to create folders inside the out-of-box drivers node, and every time I deal with a new machine, like let's say a Dell Optiplex 745, I create a folder called the Dell Optiplex 745, get the NIC drivers and ingest that stuff in there, and there you go. That's how you build your library of drivers. Very self-explanatory. Create your folder, you import drivers, find the source of where the drivers is at. My stuff is on the desktop. Press OK, press next. It gives you a nice little summary. You hit next again, progress, confirm it, and done. Once all that stuff is done, you see all this good stuff here. Okay. Next thing to do is the task sequence. Again, I'm more of a person that likes a little order with his deployment share, so I like to create subfolders so I know what's going on. So within this task sequence, I'm actually creating a task sequence for the Windows 7 Ultra 64 operating system. Okay. You right click on it, create the folder, whatever folder you want. If not, or right click the task sequence, new task sequence. Give the task sequence a new ID. Let's say you want a new ID of Windows. Let's cancel this, and let's say let's create a new folder. Call it Windows 7 Enterprise. Hopefully I spelled that right. 64-bit. Hit enter, 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 and then goes our new folder. Right click on it. Go to new task. Let's go to Windows. W7 for Windows 7, deploy. 0201 was for my ultimate. Give it a task sequence. Name Windows 7 Enterprise 64 image. Hopefully I spelled that right. What type or template that you want to use. The most common ones that I've used so far with 2010 is CIFREF capture and standard client and task sequence. There's a couple of other ones that I've seen or briefly seen. I think the last two are new for 2012, but if they're not, guys, let me know if I'm right or wrong. I don't, just let me know. I do a little more research to see. I think it's already on 2012 on 2010, but I'm not sure. So let me know. For this one, we're gonna do a standard client task sequence. You're gonna hit next. We're going to go to the operating system, and we're going to pick what we want for the operating system. For this, we're going to do Enterprise 64-bit. Hit next. For me, I don't need a product key for this example, but if you do have an MAK key, you enter it here. If not, you hit next. You can basically go inside the unintended file and enter your volume license. If your company deals with a volume license key for Windows 7, you can enter it there. Enter an employee name, your organization, BJ's Technology Company. The homepage. My homepage right now is www.google.com. Most likely is your homepage for your company. Hit next. Give it an administrative password, local administrative password. I'm gonna make capital P, the @ 55W0RD. You're gonna confirm it again, capital P @ 55W0RD. It's password. Hit next, and a blink of an eye, it's done. Double click on this guy, and very self-explanatory. First tab that I want to go over is open OS info. It gives you the built version, the actual operating system description that actually comes from the operating system node, the platform, and the edit unintended .xml file. This is where you do all your cool tricks at your unintended file. That's where you put your volume license. You can also change the home page, your language, your time, and all that other good stuff. Second one I would like to talk about is the task sequence tab, which I kind of found interesting because the task sequence tab looks just like the SCCM, the way it looks and feel. Correct me if I'm wrong. Go to my blog. My blog is bjtechnews.wordpress.com, and let me know if I'm right or wrong. But doesn't the task sequence tab look and feel just like the SCCM? A couple of things that I'm kind of excited about it is I'm excited about apply local GPO packages now, and there was another one that I kind of saw that I haven't seen for a while. This right here, this looks interesting as well. Don't know what that is, but I gotta do some research. But if you guys view this video, you know what it is. Again, go to my blog and let me know. I'm always willing to learn something new. And I'm gonna cancel this out. And what else? I think the last thing I would like to do is go to advanced configuration, go to databases. I already have a database already hooked up to this, and I already have a database already configured into the local. But just for the hell of it, I'm going to create another database so you guys can actually see how to do it. So we're going to go to new database. You're going to give it the SQL Server name, instance if you have one. No ports, optional, name pipe, that's what I do. I'm going to create a new database. I'm going to call it MDT. Hit next. Give it a SQL share. Hit next, and a blink of an eye, hopefully everything is done. Once it's done, we go back into the Studio Manager. Studio Manager, right click on databases, refresh, and there we go. Our database with our tables. How cool is that? We shouldn't have much in it. I don't think we have a lot in it, so let's go to MDT, use MDT, I don't know, select asterisk from DBO. I don't know, let's go settings. Let's check something out. Okay, so let's run this bad boy, highlight everything, execute. We don't got anything yet because we haven't filled anything. So our database is good. Task sequence is pretty good. Drivers are pretty good. Operating system is good, and we installed an application. The monitoring node, again, I gotta play around with this. I gotta do a little bit of research. I gotta see if I can hook up WDS on this so I could pixie boot as well as get a virtual machine system up and running so we could play around with it. Hopefully on part 3 of my video tutorial, I'm probably going to import Windows 8 into 2012 MDT and hopefully reimage virtual machine with Windows 8 so I can show you guys how that stuff works. Hope you enjoy the video, and hopefully you leave a comment. Thanks.